Why haven't you learned anything?
You just look at me though, but not the camera. Yeah. So you mind telling me your first and last name and your position?
Peter Mackay. I work with Baker McKenzie law firm in Toronto.
Okay. So you went to law school earlier?
I did. I went to Dalhousie Law School here in the late 80s. Graduated in 1990.
Okay.
I did my articles with the Attorney General here in Halifax, and then went back to Pictou County.
Okay.
Worked there locally with legal aid defense and as a Crown Attorney in New Glasgow.
Nice. Quick question: as you are in the law right now, because I do a lot of volunteer work, and we're finding a lot of data that shows that there is a schools to prison pipeline. I'll basically explain it. In Nova Scotia, if you're a Black or Indigenous student, you're 1.5 times likely to be put in special ed. And then when you are put in special ed, they found out that 34% of the cases didn't need to be there. And we're finding there's correlation now that a lot of the people that are in prisons, Waterville, all the other correctional facilities, they were put on special ed unfairly.
There's no question that there's a correlation between education and those who find themselves in trouble with the law or in our justice system. And so those provincial educational issues need to be addressed. And it's not necessarily a resource issue as much as it is a policy issue within our education system. And as you'll recall, when they set up the IBM process at Dalhousie for law school, this opened up a great opportunity for Black and Indigenous Mi'kmaq people to get law degrees and then be actual participants in the justice system. So it proves that when you make those type of policy, educational, resource adjustments as necessary, it can do a lot on the prevention, on the front end side, as opposed to dealing with criminality after crimes have been committed.
Yeah, and even with the IBM program, the problem is a lot of the students are being put in special ed, and when you have the special ed on your transcript, you're not allowed into university. So therein lies the rub. Like, that's a major issue. I think it starts a bit earlier. I know you don't deal with something like that's more of a provincial issue, but I know that you're in Toronto, but you are if you come back here, are you looking to help out in terms of that, or something that you can end up doing just to kind of prevent that school to prison pipeline?
Well, I'm hearing those statistics, frankly, for the first time, and they're alarming that those numbers exist. And so, yeah, by all means, it's something that elected provincial people should be talking about. The Premier, I'm sure, needs to be aware. The Education Minister, to be sure. Mm-hmm. And, we have a provincial progressive conservative leadership contest going on right now. And my suggestion would be to try to get that into the agenda, to get that onto the debate
100%.
For discussion.
Okay, last quick question. Yeah. It's in terms of the Irving Group. As you know, they got the procurement for $30 billion.
Our government was in power when
your government was in power.
The shipbuilding procurement strategy.
There you go. And ship starts here.
Ship starts here.
And all the beautiful stuff. And there's supposed to be a lot more jobs for Nova Scotians. They moved into the Uniacke Square / Mulgrave Park area. Unfortunately, there's nobody from the community. There's no liaison to get jobs there. Irving is not hiring any local Black folks from the community, and there's almost an expression because when Irving did the construction, all the rats came into the housing projects. So it's like Irving came in, and all we got was rats. You're familiar with the Irving Group. Are you willing to stand behind and lobby behind the people of communities of Mulgrave Park to say there has to be a stand, like this is government money that you're getting, you have to start hiring people locally?
Again, I'm hearing about this right now. I don't know what the private sector hiring practices of the Irving Group are. As you've referred to them, I'm disappointed to think that there are not more local opportunities. I suspect that they are open to this, and we need to make them more aware.
When you started the contract with Irving, did you put in place, like, knowing where it was going to be? You knew the location that was going to be in the north end of Halifax, predominantly Black and Indigenous. When you put it there, were you guys thinking maybe we should include that? Why wasn't something put in the contract that you have to hire locally from the Aboriginal and
So
Black
the
community?
contract would have been negotiated by Public Works Canada, not the Defense Department where I was working at that time. But
Okay.
again, I haven't seen the actual contract that would say this is who you hire. Normally the government doesn't say this is who you hire, although a lot of private sector companies now are looking for what they call industrial regional benefits that include things like educational components, working with universities, working with local groups to have more impact in the region, in the province, in the community where they're working.
They did it with women. They did it with gender in terms of gendered, and they did it with
The recent government has.
yeah, but they haven't done anything with terms of the black community. The only reason why I brought that up is because it's creating a gentrification issue, and a lot of people in that community are now being pushed out, and the ones that remain don't have any jobs to live there. A lot of people are turning into crime. So this is why it's a huge issue right now, and nobody really seems to be listening. And the only reason I brought it up to you is because you guys were there. I know you were defense at the time, but a lot of people, it's almost like the community was an afterthought, and even now it's even worse. We're getting pushed out. I know this is your first time hearing about it. What we're really looking for in the community is for government to act, for government now and before who were there to step up. Regardless, we don't care what your stripes are. We just want people to actually step up and say, this is wrong and we have to change this.
Yeah, well, I commend you for making more people aware, and I'm sure that's key to the exercise of communicating, getting the issue out there, getting people who are currently in office to react and to make better decisions going forward.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you, sir, for your time.